Howdy, folks. Welcome to, hey Gary, how's it going? And hey Dave, welcome to our wonderful little thing here. I'm going to be building box number 16 today. Trying to get ahead here. I've been working all day on the connectors for boxes 13 through 16, so I expect to have them all out, if not tomorrow, the day after, so that's a good sign. And then the next four, hopefully by the next week, if not sooner. Things are racing along now that I got lots of time to concentrate on these things. Thank you all for joining me on another wonderful evening of soldering with Javi. If anybody would like to join me in the room, let me know, and I'll send you a link if you've got a webcam and a mic. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them, and I'll do my best to answer them. First thing I'm going to do, as I always do, is put the small fans in place. Excellent, excellent. Good to see Gary. Let's see, and I'll need the. Oh yeah, it helps if you can actually see what I'm doing. Alrighty, there we are. That's a little better. So, now for the fun part. Well, everything's the fun part. All right. And I got to remember always put the fans in the right direction. You don't want to have the fans in the wrong direction. Have them all pointing inward because the air is being blown. Have them all pointing outward because the air is being blown. I see, and that's peculiar. These are different. So now we must take our little 12-volt supply. Luckily, we have a 12-volt supply. And I'll plug in my 12-volt supply and make sure the fans go in the right direction, because we don't want some blowing in, some blowing out, and then, that messing up the whole thing. Okay. We have our 12 volts. And let's see here. Yeah. Everything good so far around the area. How are you guys handling the Coronaville? Okay, so this is negative, this is positive. Let's see which way the wind blows. I should tap out 2 wires out of here, and I will right now. This way, I'll always, sometimes I have a plug. See, I have one plug, I have another plug for different types of fans to test them, but I can also do it the old-fashioned way, which is wire to wire, and that's not the right one. Okay. Positive, positive, negative, negative. Do the 425s run hot? That's a good question. Mine have not. Um, that depends on your setup. Hang on, let me crank up the AC here. It's getting a little warm, and I don't know why. I mean, it is South Florida. I mean, Central Florida, but even so. Oops. There we go. Let's see. Do the 425 steppers run hot? That's a question that's always been asked. It's better if they don't. Let's see which way it's blowing. Okay, it's blowing toward the label, as it should. Okay, so yeah. All right, good. I just want to make sure this is correct. Let me make sure this one is correct, because it's really strange that... Yeah, sure enough. Okay. Now, what... Thought so. I knew one of them were backwards, because the label is always going to be in the same direction, but... That doesn't make it... Let me see. Anyway, let's see. I've got big screen, good vibes. Let's see here. Do the stepper motors really usually run hot? Well, again, I say they don't normally run hot for me. It's very rare. But they won't run hot if everything's perfectly balanced. Power supply, stepper driver, if you've got all the settings correct, and if you wired it correctly, because sometimes what happens is you'll wire one or two of the poles backwards, and then it's always on. It's always So that's one possibility. Some motors, because they're not all built the same. In fact, I recently received a batch of motors. You're going to love this. These motors... Okay, this is one of the motors that I got 3 weeks ago. And this one I got 1 week ago. The motors are identical in every way, shape, and form. The back of the motor... Excuse the wires here. The back of the motors are identical. The stepper motor, 23HE454204S. Certifications on the side. Design, shape. There is not one way you can tell these two apart, except these wires and these wires were wired... red and blue were wired to coil A here. Red and blue were wired to coil B here. So, and other than the motors running backwards, everything would be fine. But there are some motors that are wired, rather than just switching the poles, they actually switch the positive and negative on one side only. And guess what? Now you're wiring A and B with where it should be A plus and A minus, and the bottom line is, well, in that case, I'm getting off track, because in that case the motor will not run properly. It'll skip and stuff. If a motor doesn't run... well, I'm not going to go into troubleshooting a motor, but suffice to say, most of the time they don't run hot, but there is no guarantee. If you don't have all the perfectly balanced stuff like I have, like in the JaviBox, and even with these, they may run hot. If you have a long program, they will be hot, but not so hot that you're going to burn yourself on them. That's just going to shorten the life of the motor. All right. So these go this way. This goes this way. Gotcha. So I mean, I hope I kind of answered that question. Yep. Michigan extended the stay at home till April 30th. Florida was late to the game, but from the beginning they did April 30th. Yeah, Philly, it's getting bad and scary. I've got the big screen good vibes. I don't know if that's an emoji thing or what, but I get it because I'm on the, yeah, I don't have a. Are you saying because I don't have a second, so now I have the screen on large? Well, I got it. I'm on your big screen. Sorry, my mind is just. It's been a long day, and a lot of fumes. I just had some dinner, so right now all my blood is on my stomach, not in my brain. So there is that. Okay. So I hope that kind of answered your question. Running hot is not a problem. I mean, a lot of motors run hot, so it's not that big of a deal. You know, maybe if I pay attention to what I'm doing. Instead of trying to think of two things at once, here we go. All right, so like I always do, I always try to wire the, let me unplug the 12 volt supply. I tested the fans and make sure they're all going the right way. Come on. There you go. They're not hot enough to burn you, then don't worry about it. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. They sometimes tend to run warm. If you're doing a large program, do not touch the motors after that large program because they may very well be hot enough to burn. All right, so I was telling Dave earlier today, this has got to be the best. That little rack that I have there is the best tool for my arsenal of stuff that I need. I just roll over, reach back, grab what I need, and very, very handy. So I went over to I got 2 power supplies in, so at least I can, I I can complete, well, this one. Um, and it was a little upsetting because I ordered them and they should have come in 2 weeks ago. And it's very difficult to deliver to this place because it's a new address and it's not on the map yet. Amazon has delivered here numerous times, but now Amazon's not driving. They're sending their stuff with UPS, and I mean they are, but they've cut their delivery trucks considerably. You don't see them on the road as much anymore. It's all UPS and post office. Well, the post office will not deliver to here, so I have to go do it to a post office box, which is fine. But I didn't get the post office box until last week, so I am. There we go. So I'm trying to my best to. Okay, black, 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 and black here. I'm trying my best to deal with their incompetencies. UPS just. I don't know, the guy's an idiot or what, but it's clearly marked. They've come here before. FedEx comes here. Amazon comes here. Post office will not come here. And now UPS couldn't find the place. So then I had to drive half an hour to pick up the stupid box. That was annoying. But that little hole in the wall UPS station that they have, if it wasn't for coronavirus, I wouldn't even think, twice. It's in the back of the UPS hub, and it says customer service, and there's a little 4-foot by maybe 10-foot waiting area that with a counter right there where they'll attend to you when they get to you. And well, let's just say it didn't give me any comfort. Thank God there was nobody else there, because even though they have the little tape every 6 feet for people to stand, in order to go in and out, if you're the last person in there to get through the door, you got to go through everybody else in line. So it's kind of pointless. But yeah, it was I've worked for UPS. So I'm used to the warehouse environment, but with the current situation what it is, all of a sudden it's like it's out of a horror film or a Halloween novel or something. It's a little bit different. Okay. Fans are in place. That's connected to the power supply. For those of you that have seen my last live, I'm basically going to do the same thing, roughly. Line, neutral, ground. You watch enough of these, you can build one yourself. But Line, neutral, and ground. The only thing you got to watch for when you're building these things, when you're stripping wire and you're cutting the, make sure that when you trim a piece of copper, I mean, if you cut a piece of wire, no big deal. If you cut a piece of insulation, make sure it doesn't fall anywhere where it shouldn't. But the real bad thing is these little stranded cables. If you cut them, the strands are going to go everywhere. Make sure your aim is true, because the last thing you want is for a piece of wire to get into the wrong place in this power supply and then smoke coming out, or if it turns off, or it never turns on and you think it's broken. And yeah, sure, you could send it back and they'll give you a new one, but in the meantime, you know, time is my most valuable asset, so it's not something you want to be messing with. I always double check all the connections, even though I know it's line, neutral, and ground. And as always, when I finish here, I plug it in and make sure the fans are going before I continue to the next step. Because now that I got it open, well, it's much easier to work on it before I start putting all the components in. This is, for those of you that didn't see last time, this is the final assembly and testing. The long part, like what, okay, give you an example of what I did today. Pretty much the entire day, I was soldering limit switches, soldering the connectors, those breakout connectors. And in fact, I may grab some in a little bit, and just to break the monotony of the build, and not that it's going to be any less monotonous for you guys, because watching me put something together here is probably as boring as watching me continuity test a bunch of stuff and label them 1 through 4, but it's different. Either way. Okay. We have our power supply. I've got the wires. I'm going to do the other power supply. There we are. Today's my wife's birthday. So that's, we're 400 miles away from each other, but thanks to YouTube, rather thanks to Google Hangouts and FaceTime and all that, we got to, you know, somewhat enjoy a some singing and stuff like that. I'll be up here at the property until probably, well, at least till the beginning of May. We'll see about the rest. Another tip, if you're putting one of these together, make sure that your power supplies, if they have... Hey, Paul, how's it going? If your power supplies are dual voltage, make sure the switch is set to 110, because, you know, that will be a problem. And likewise, if it's auto switching, no problem. But if it's, just make sure you didn't order the wrong power supply. All right, so now I'm going to take my wonderful little plug here and test the power. Okay, plug's not in place. There we go. Come on, turn on. Well, at least I got boy, that took a little while. Must have been the auto switching thing. All right, so we have a beautiful red one, red fan. These fans are moving. They're blowing air nicely through there, all out the box. It's coming in through here, going out through there. We are good to go. Power supply light is on the box. But before this, and this is a precaution that I take that, nobody else has to, but it's happened to me once that one of these power supplies has come in improperly, where's my meter? Improperly calibrated. So I want to make sure I got 12 volts coming out of that thing. Excuse me, folks, as I look through this mess and see where I left my... Oh, there it is. I should have looked under the pile of wires that I just finished. So, all right, so... So we're going, this is positive, this is negative. 36.0 volts exactly, as it should be. Okay. All right. Garbage. Let us solder our connector. A little bright for you guys there, huh? Yeah. All right. Got my solder pot. Smoke doesn't help, but tis what it is. Hey guys, oh, let's see here. We got a few more. How are you, Al? Everything good? Yep, where's my meter? Lost my fluke. It's Klein, actually. Hey, Jim. Good to see you. Don't get your ohms and your mo's backwards. So yeah, I'm enjoying another box, and give me a topic and I'll be happy to share a story. Most, it'll bring back some memories in my head of of something, whatever. And if you guys are up for stories, that's always interesting while this is going on. All right, so let me get the fans out of the way here. Work on the power supply a little bit. Okay, so these, let's see. Actually, no, I was working on this. Clip. All right. That one is ground. That's power, ground, power. Time to do a little tinning. Hey Rob, how's it going? Good to see you out here. Like I said, guys, if you come up with a story of any sort, oh, this has got to be up there. Let me. Soldering iron's got to heat up, but in the meantime, let me see if I can get my wet my sponge. Go. Up to temperature, and here we go. Yeah, come up with a topic, guys, and I'll be happy to share a story if you're interested. Call it Story Time with Javi. Okay. That one's there. How's it going, Michael? How's everything? One down. And as soon as I can see where I put my other one, I'll just grab another. Two down. So what I'm doing is I'm soldering the spindle connector because that's the only connector that on these boxes I haven't gotten a chance to take care of. And I have to make sure. Yep. These two are the only two I need. And of course, heat shrink everything. Yeah, 93. I wish I don't know what temperature it was down here in South Florida. It was probably in the somewhere in the 90s, but I was in pretty much most of the day. I was in the AC here. So I couldn't tell you. But I'm sure the Weather Channel and Farmers' Almanacs all around the world could probably let me know. And the internet and my phone. Yes, Paul. I'm using one power supply. I don't like using two 5-amp power supplies. I like to use one 10-amp. It's all about space. And you don't want to kill the... you don't want to overdrive the motors either. Just because you can put more power into something doesn't mean you should. That doesn't always make it better. Nothing wrong with putting two supplies as long as you set your drivers correctly. The last thing you want is to set your drivers, you know, last thing you want is to set your drivers to like 5.5 amps and your motors can only handle 3.1, 4.2 peak, and then, again, 9 times out of 10, with everything we do with these things, that it's not, I don't want to say it's idiot-proof, but there's a lot that can go wrong that won't go wrong, but these things all contribute to shortening the life of your CNC. And I'm building a solid box that I don't want to have to ever replace a component in. So, let's see here. But yes, that's the short answer. There we go. That one's tinned. Where are we? We are here. Had my little screwdriver right here the other day. Not this one, but the other one. Every time I switch to a different mode, I was soldering today. Now I'm building boxes. I always seem to misplace my tools. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Nah, probably never happened to anybody else. Just me. All right. I know you got to be around here somewhere. Okay, this goes down here. So here's a preview, guys, of the... well, I don't know if I showed you this last time, but here's... a couple days ago, I built a few of these boxes. These are the boxes for the... There's going to be a nice little nameplate on it, similar to the... Similar to this. On the front, that's going to say router switch on when lit. And here you'll have the router light. And this will be the relay, which fits nicely in there. Hopefully it'll prevent people from you know, doing something stupid and getting shocked, but still provide airflow. And I'll have a couple of holes here with brackets, so you can attach it underneath. And obviously the wires will come out. It will be one plug in, one plug out, and I'm still looking for the screwdriver. One in, one out, and a connector similar to this for the that connects to your output number 1. This is the wired e-stop button. So you can put that anywhere you like. This is an optional thing. I'll be happy to let you know how to wire your own, but this comes pre-wired for the JaviBox, and it's got 15 feet of cable. You could just attach it anywhere you want. My preference would be to put it up someplace high. I don't like having the box is low. Let me see if it's around here. I don't like having something low where my knee or my thigh could hit it. I want something up where let me get these fans out of the way. These fans don't belong here. Just got them in, so I'll put them away. I like to have it someplace high where I could reach up, and as opposed to someplace where I can actually bump into it with my knee or bump into it with my leg. I am about to give up on the screwdriver, but luckily that's usually the time where I find it. Ta-da! All right. Back we go. Ha! UL certification on the box. That's funny. That is hilarious. That's a JST connector. Let's see, yeah, you asked for the e-stop. Yeah, JST connector. Would be a male connector going into the female connectors that are there. All right, let's see here. I need this to go to ground. I need this to go to positive. So it's time to wire that up. All right. I've pre-calibrated the 24 volt connectors, so I have that ready to go. So let me simply strip a small section of cable here. Since I got the solder pot on, I might as well quickly tin these. Doesn't hurt. Well, it may hurt because it's smoky as heck, but, yeah. I prefer not to have my solder pot within easy reach, you know, because I mean, if I'm doing nothing but soldering, but tinning wires, then yeah, then I'll have it right here, but far away, because that's all I need is to reach for something behind it and then spill liquid solder all over me. No, not fun. Alrighty. So like I said, if anybody's got a, you know, a story they want me to tell, I'll be happy to share. Okay, so this is going to go here. Four yellows, four blues. And now we simply take all our little wires, dip them into our flux, get rid of the excess flux, keep them nice and separated, and solder pot. May get a little smoky. Warning. Okay, that's good. All right. These are the drive wires for the, these are the wires to power the drivers. The stepper drivers. And so, connecting them to the power supply first, just to have them connected to the power supply for no reason. No order, no rhyme or reason to this. Just make sure all the connections are tight and correct. Hey Dave, how's it going? Yeah, I always like to build one of these. First of all, I'd like to build it as if I'm building it for myself. But secondly, if anybody decides to void their warranty and open up the box to look inside, I want to be proud of what I have to build. I don't want to be embarrassed by anything. But more than anything else, I'm doing it because you asked for it, as they say. Anyway, here we go. Now, grab 4 of these thingies. Minus plus. I've done this a million times and I still double check. Hey, why doesn't this work? Well, you wired it backwards. And yes, I am OCD. I've got 4 wires and 4 wires, and the first one has to... They're all going to the same location, but the first one has to go with the first one. The second one has to go with the second one. I just, you know... I complain about my brother. He's lead screw couplers, Rick. If you want them immediately, dumpster CNC's the well, I don't even know if they'll deliver immediately. That's where everybody gets them from, but there are quite a number of places out there. Amazon's a great tool for that, but and the you could probably get next day or within 2 or 3 days the ones with the little spiral. I don't like those; they stretch out. But if you just need it immediately to get your machine up and running, then that's a temporary fix, I would call it. Yeah, but other than that, I'm pretty sure most of them they'll take about a month or so. But there's a lot of good solid ones out there. And anyone will work. I mean, heck, if you have a drill press and a piece of aluminum, you could do it yourself. Doesn't take much. Drill the small hole with a 10 millimeter all the way through. Then drill, set your depth for the ½ inch to go just halfway through, on your piece. Aluminum bar, it's not going to be turning that fast that it'll be offset, so you could be a little off from center. And, I mean, again, in a pinch. And the sides, it's easy. Just drill a small hole and tap it for a set screw. So, I don't know how comfortable you are with working with metal, but I've always thought about making my own little couplers. Thought I had 3. I guess I only picked up 2. All right. Negative, positive. Negative, positive. Negative, positive, and negative, positive. Those 4 are good to go. Power supply is ready to be placed in the machine. Now let's move on to the board. Red and black. Yeah, I love the idea of making my own couplers. It doesn't take much. I mean, what do they go for online? Just out of curiosity, because how much is a bar of aluminum? If you're going to make a pair or 4 of them, you might as well make a whole bunch and, you know, provide a service to the community while making a few dollars. Because in the end, everybody needs them. If you can beat their price, put out a good product, and save them time, it's always a good thing. Okay. Don't know why I tinned both sides. I got to take off the other side. Oh well. Alright, so this is the 24 volt supply. 24 volt side. I'm using, there's a cabinet shop in Miami called iMecca. They provide a birch cabinet grade plywood, 1/2 inch, and that's what I'm using for the boxes. And and what I do is so here's the top, for instance, and so what I do is the cabinet grade plywood. Obviously, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layer because it's 1/2 inch. And what I do on the front of the box on all 4 sides, just because I want the front to look neater, I laminate. I got birch laminate on the front. Yeah, take a little heat gun and take it off if you like to see the lines. I don't, so. I mean, you'll see them all around the sides of the box anywhere, and they look nice, but not in the front. That's just me. Again, I'm making a box that I want. All right. Got my 24 volt out. This would be ground. This would be ground. And I would need a ground to go into the thing. So one more. Alrighty. Yep, I'm happy you're happy with it, Rick. I mean, hey, I could use all the praise you got. That's a beautiful thing. So, Or if you like it, I'd like to hear about it. If you don't like it, well, no one wants to hear that, but I would want to know anyway, just to see if there's anything I can do about it. In most cases, I think I thought of everything, but there's always other stuff, and I've thought of stuff that's not even on here that people keep suggesting, and well, I'm sorry, you know, there's reasons I do certain things, like yeah, you can go crazy and put 4 power supplies. It's overkill for the level of box that we're building, first of all. Second of all, that's an extra $150. Or so, let's see, 4 power supplies. It's an extra $90. 90, actually, no, now they've raised the price. They're running about $37 each. But anyway, it's an extra expense that you don't need. And I don't like throwing money away, personally. Especially if it's especially if it's my money, but if it's other people's money also. Alrighty, there you are. And there's different design choices I mean, you know, why didn't I go with closed loop stepper motors? Same reason, money. There's no need. This is not this is not a professional grade CNC. However, this box is comparable to Avid's $1,500 box. It just doesn't look anywhere near as professional because they've got a metal enclosure. Well, I saved you $150 for a custom metal enclosure. If you want, I'll be happy to charge you the extra money and make you a metal enclosure. It'll cost more than $150 because I'll be buying only one. And it'll cost more than $150 because I'll have to put 3 or 4 hours of my time in to cut all the proper connectors in place. So, still come out cheaper than theirs. But in the end, it's all about balance. I'm looking forward to seeing you running over the weekend, John. I mean, I really am. I mean, you've got my I'm rooting for you. Well, I'm rooting for everybody to be the first one, but I think you're probably the closest. Then again, who is it? Number 16. I'm going to be shipping out boxes probably in the next 2 days, number 13 through 16. And number 16, he's ordering a replacement box for his CNC. Oh my God, my mind went blank. Is it Rick? Let me see. No, who was it? Or is John? No, it's John. Oh, well. Anyway, so if he gets his box before you finish yours, he might just hook up his CNC and he might beat you. You never know. All right, so this one goes with this one, goes with this one. So John, is your middle name Ashley or is that your wife's name? Just out of curiosity, not to... Just kind of curious. Because sometimes people have their one account for everybody, and do you go by Ashley? Because, you know, I've been calling you John because that's what's on the box, but John M. That's not a those don't sound like the initials to Ashley. So I figured that was your wife's name. Let's see here. Where am I? Oh, Ashley is your middle name. What's the M stand for? Or am I thinking of a different person who has a middle name M on their box? All right, where's my... Ashley it is then. Ah, okay. Oh, that's right. Ashley is Delbert, right? Yeah, that's it. Man, you know, I gotta tell you, that's been a that's been an issue with me lately. It's been a long time since I've had to deal with a lot of names. I mean, I used to do it all the time in my businesses and when I used to do in computers and had a lot of subscribers for a couple of clubs and stuff that I. But this is just so funny because one of the one of the people that bought the box is Colin, and another one is Coleman. And for the life of me, I have to keep looking at the orders because every single time I get them mixed up. One is Davis and one is Davidson. So and there is a John West that which is the one I get mixed up with you, Ashley, and there's a John West that also that he was customer number 2, so he's in the running to be. Well, we'll see who gets there first. I'm dying to see these things up and running and carving something. I really am. It's like, you know, you watch your kids grow up. All right. Double check. Negative, negative, negative. Positive, positive, positive. Good. All I need now are wire up the motors, wire up these things. As you see, I did some wiring already ahead of time. Looking for the black ones. Here they are. And we're ready to go. I got to remember, whatever I do, not to kneel down in this room until I sweep the floor. I am popping these. See, I've tinned these connectors. So, like for instance, this one, it's too long. Well, I don't like to have bare connectors sticking out of the terminals. So I trim them to say about an eighth to a quarter of an inch, because it was half inch or 3/4 of an inch. So I've got these little pieces of soldered cable just flying all over the place, and they're like little nails when you kneel on them, and they go into your knee. Well, not like nails, but they hurt. Nothing worse than kneeling on a rock or something like that. Well, I suppose there are worse things. Okay, all of these are open. Z +5. This is push. Direction. Yellow. That push direction. All nice and tight. Make sure they don't come flying off, even though there's no reason to if they're inside the box, but you never know. So now everybody that's already gotten one from me, remember, if you haven't already, go to the FAQ section. I think it's number 18 or 19. There is a link to the two files you need, the rnrmotion.dll and the other one, the actual profile. The reason I gave you guys the profile is I programmed everything in Mach 3 for it to run perfectly fine, assuming your two motors are, your two Y motors are in the back, your X motor is on the right side, and your Z motor obviously is up. There's no other place for the Z motor to be but up top. It's not going to be underneath the router. So all the directions are fine, all the outputs are fine, everything's all set. The spindle voltage should be calibrated. And that being said, I'll catch you later, Al. That being said, I saved that file, that profile, and that's all you got to do is run that. And that way, that'll save you from hours of trying to figure out, hey, how am I going to get this thing to run? You know. Go, nice and neat, ready to roll. All I need now are the last connections for the motors. But first, let me, before I do that, let me screw in the drivers. Like I said, the really nice thing about having a CNC to design the box is I've got, I mean, you guys can't see it, but I've got all the screws, holes, I've got little, like, point .1 depth of V-bit has made a little indentation to tell me exactly where to put the screw. Now I slide in my stepper drivers. Boom, 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 and boom. And there's another hole right there, ready for the other side. Except this one is turned around. There we go. Ow. I don't know. Dave is actually on there. I mean, he's got the link. He's just he's relaxing. He's sitting by his TV, by the big screen, watching us now. So, and that's why he's not commenting also, because he's sitting by the big screen. And hopefully this is boring enough to put him to sleep. So that it accomplished the you know, Dave probably tuned me in because he wants to, you know, get some rest. And this is the perfect show for that. I will be happy to share some stories with you if you guys will give me a topic on something or other. And solid, 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 solid. And now okay, it was here yesterday. Yeah, don't know where it went. Perfect. All right, so yeah. Hot Latin girls from the 70s. Okay. All right. So what are you up to, Jim? what is the latest with you and Canada? Oh, Canada. Oh, you're making drawers in the shop? That's gotta be fun, I guess. I can't wait till I get these last ones out because I am so looking forward to getting back to working on the property. You know, I haven't had anything but soldering in my head for the last, I don't know how long. I lost count already of how long. February 17th. Well, actually, the first 2 weeks, it was just designing. So I really have only been assembling for about a month. Comes out to about a box a day, because obviously I've taken some months off. I mean, some days off. Months. All right. There we go. Bunch of wonderful little things here. Red, blue, yellow, black. Oh, excuse me. The top is going to be blue and red. Blue, red, black, yellow. Red. Top is going to be... Okay. 21. How many do I got left? 9, except 4 will be ready, this week. So soon to be 5 left. I got to remember to lean back in my chair because I've been getting these incredible backaches from hunching forward. It's can't be good for me. Another probably another 10 minutes tops, and this one will be ready for testing. Not even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't want to underestimate. I mean, overestimate. All I got is 8 more connections. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. It's a great little song. Where's that from? Four more connections. 4 more connections. Two more. And here we go. These and these and these. A tour of the container shop. Problem is the camera's on a computer, so I can't really do much about that. But I will definitely think about that. I mean, you know, what is it? Ah, there we go. I mean, I don't know if I want to, because I'd rather not make it public, you know, all the stuff that I got in my container. Just, not that it matters. There's not really much stuff in here, but, you know, you like to keep certain things private. Okay, that goes there. This goes here. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Let me put that over here. That's better off over here because it's the longest cord, and then this goes here. And this goes here. Now, let's do the old... Alright. We have our Y connector. We have our A connector. We have our Z connector. And last but not least, we have our X connector. Now for the fun part, to figure these out. Okay. Let's start with the ones from the bottom. We'll start with Z. Z. So we go... those four. Now, A. A is 4. Z is 4. And the final connectors. X, these 4. Let's hope everything goes right. And here we go. USB plug. We have USB power. All right. Everything's fine. Ready for the test, guys? Here we go. The plug. The motor, preferably the one that's hooked up. You won't be able to see it turn, but I will. I mean, you'll be able to hear it maybe, but let's see. We're going to test the X first. Power, everything on. Reset the, there we go. Reset the box. Limit switch triggered. Haha. So we got a short. The limit switches are over here. Nope, the limit switches are down here. All right. Let me go to the diagnostic screen. It's input number 2, which is this one. So input number 2 is somehow shorted. Most likely a bad solder. Ah, there it is right there. I could see it. I love it when you can see a bad solder. There's a bridge between two of the things. Turn that off, unplug this. You don't want to be soldering with live power, even though it's a piece of cake. All right. Waiting for my soldering iron to heat up. And this should be a quick fix. There we are. Up to par. Tin the thing. All right. Time to yank out. Have a good one, Jim. Luckily for me, I have desoldering braid. And I'm gonna need it. Oh, folks, I'm just about to go off the air as soon as I finish this little fix. And test the unit. Good news is I fixed the break. The bad news is now I got to resolder one of the wires. It's always something, right? Back on Friday night? Yep, I'll be back on Friday night. I'll probably only be here another. I just want to test this box, so this shouldn't take more than a minute or so to fix this, and everything should be 100%. And then I'll be off the air tonight, and I will be back on Friday. Alrighty, here we go. All right. That's all fixed. You have to go be... Oh, yeah, it won't be long now. And we're pretty much fixed over here. There's always something, you know? Always something. But it's usually a very simple fix. It's always either a short or an open. And once it's fixed, it's not going to plague me again. On we go. We have our X. We shall now reset the box again. And we're good to go. Now, motor. Keyboard. Wherever I left the keyboard. There it is. And let's see, that's the X, so X. To the right, to the left. Okay, that's correct. Off. Go to the Z, the Y. Turn on. Reset. Okay, I gotta check the Y. Y prime will probably be in the same exact issue. Yep. And now the Z. Helps if I turn it on. There you go. Z is perfectly fine. Okay. Y prime is probably 2 wires messed up. And that should be that. Let's see. This is prime. So this is positive, positive, positive. Sure enough. Two wires backwards. Troubleshooting is easy when you know how. This should be Y pulse, and it is. Yep. Okay, folks, we're at the tail end of our 9:45, not too bad. At the tail end of our test session. Turn it on. Oh, no. Let's, we need the Y here. Ready? Turn it on. Y. Oh, yeah. Reset. We just unplugged it. And Y is plugged in. You know, it helps when you, look at that. It helps when you actually attach something that you actually attach it. I'm not going to unplug it because I'll be very careful and just plug it in correctly. It's not going to pulse if it's not connected. There it is. There it is. Last but not least, the A. And we're done with the motors. For those of you who'd like to stay another 5 minutes, I'm going to check out the inputs and the outputs, but I suspect they will be perfectly fine. Here is my wonderful little box. I will plug in inputs, number, outputs, and the motor spindle. So here we go. Number 1, there it is. Number 4, rather. Number 3, there it is. Number 2, there it is. Number 1, there it is. All 4 inputs, perfectly fine. And now we test the outputs. Reset. And we'll give an M3 command. M3 is, well, you can see it right here, perfectly fine. M4 command. Bam. There it is. M7. Done. M8. Done. M9 closes those two. M6 turns this off. M5 rather. And let's do the spindle on for the final test. Spindle on, and we'll do an S24000. That's S24000. Bam. And it lights up with 9.8. So that has to be adjusted a little bit. But it's got to be 10 volt, but that's got to be, each person has to adjust that on their own. Because I'm not going to adjust one profile per person. That's just crazy. And not everybody has a spindle anyway. Okay, so we'll go to S12000 for a half spindle. Should be about 5 volts. There it is, 4.9 something. M5, and we're done. This box just to be neatened up, wires, etc., etc. Final configuration. And box and ship. So folks, thank you very much for joining me on this wonderful little session. You guys have a wonderful evening. If anybody's, well, 13. Good night for all of you that have been watching, and for those of you that left me on and are watching from your TV sets, also good night. Thank you all for coming by. I will catch you all on Friday, where hopefully I'll have all 4 of the, I'll have all these done and out of here, I hope. And maybe I'll work on these router boxes here, because I got to get these out. Monday is my personal deadline for getting all of the spindle boxes and router boxes out, because I've delayed them because of the fact that that the Javi boxes were more important, because anybody can turn on and off a spindle, but they need this box for that. So, well, anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and I'll catch y'all on Friday. If you want to come by, chat some more, or just listen to me ramble. Good night, all. And I lost my mouse, as I always do about this time. There it is. on the floor. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful day.